Good morning, Internet. Have your dreams been filled with advertisements and product placements yet?
Der 6. Parteitag der Bewegung geht zu Ende.
Now that the situation is mostly blown over, and I've had some time to think about it, I'd like to discuss the whole Pewdiepie and the mainstream news situation. I know this is coming in later than expected, but I do believe that hindsight is 20/20, so looking at the bigger picture becomes much easier. If you've ever spent any time on the internet, then chances are you know who Pewdiepie is. And if you're a YouTuber, then he is your god. But for those of you who don't know who Pewdiepie is, let me introduce you. Pewdiepie is the biggest thing on YouTube. He's a Swedish gamer who's gotten his fame by being jump scared by video games, and having a really endearing accent. He's a sweetheart and now a multimillionaire. He broke the record of YouTube subscribers a while back and now sits at roughly 50 million subs. And now, according to the mainstream media, he's a Nazi. Blonde hair and blue eyes aside, I can honestly tell you that there is no Nazi in him. And once again, I can honestly tell you that the mainstream news media lied. And let me explain why. Not too long ago, Disney, one of the most profitable media Goliaths out there, decided to buy the YouTube network that Pewdiepie is part of. This would mean that Pewdiepie would be the first mainstream entertainer that broke out of YouTube. And yes, I can already hear you yelling at the screen. But what about Justin Bieber? He broke out of YouTube. He should have that title. But he's not the only one. There's been a few other entertainers that have broken out of YouTube, but none of them have ever broken out with someone like Disney at their back. This would mean that Pewdiepie will instantly have the hearts and minds of a new generation. Disney caters to children in every home with a television or an internet connection. And we all know that you have to hook them while they're young. Now this has become a huge problem for the mainstream news for one very simple reason. Pewdiepie laughs at them. He's got no respect for them, and has a larger audience than all the mainstream news agencies combined. And they just can't have that. Under no circumstances can they ever let an individual with so much influence speak out against the mainstream narrative. It would start to break down the propaganda machine that they've spent so much time and effort building. We also know that the mainstream media has been losing a lot of advertisers to the internet, thanks to direct advertising that is far more effective than the blanket indirect advertising of television. And they can't have that either. So the news media decided to kill two birds with one stone, and started a campaign of crying wolf. They decided to run story after story about Nazi YouTubers and white supremacists, homophobes, and God knows what else, to make YouTubers look bad and to scare the advertisers back into the warm embrace of the mainstream media. Scare them back by exposing the fact that they've been promoting and supporting white nationalists, terrorists, and Nazis this entire time. Because how could you not return to what you know works? And we all know that the mainstream media would never express Nazi or homophobic views on television. And their fear-mongering went on, with Pewdiepie and JonTron, with Black Hitler and whoever else, scaring the advertisers back to them, while also delegitimizing the YouTube platform as a legitimate place to get your opinions and news from. All this, while they themselves have started pushing their own news channels on YouTube, and advertising their own content. Because of this, YouTube now offers television networks for price, becoming a television network in itself. YouTube is not for you anymore. YouTube is now just TV with extra cat videos on it. But I have a small solution, and not a lot of people are going to agree with me on this, but at least hear me out. Since a lot of us are being demonetized and suppressed through restricted mode, I say we fight the fight with the same tactics. This will mean giving up our own YouTube revenue in exchange for Patreons alone. Now, wait, hear me out. Right now, YouTube is trying to maintain its advertisers, and its main advertisers are the mainstream sources. So let's change that. Let's become YouTube's main source of advertisement. Let's make it harder for YouTube and the mainstream media to restrict us, and use its own advertising system to advertise ourselves. You can't block and demonetize your own advertisers now, can you? This will also give us much more exposure to regular people, and make us louder within the YouTube community. This is also something I prefer that we do over leaving YouTube altogether, as some of you have decided to do. I don't believe abandoning an entire platform, one of the loudest and best platforms we possibly have, is the answer to this problem. I am not willing to voluntarily leave YouTube. I am not willing to just walk away. I want to stay and fight the good fight, and I hope you do too. And that's my plan. I'm going to be converting all of my YouTube revenue to go back into YouTube advertising me. I'm going to take my channel trailer and have YouTube play it to hundreds and hundreds of people as an ad. Any video uploaded to YouTube can be converted into an ad. Just click the advertise button at the bottom of the page. That's all it really takes. So I'm just going to be relying on my own Patreons and my website for donations and funding. So I hope you guys stick around and decide to fight the good fight with me. Thank you, and good night.
I love his content, unlike Pewdiepie, who freaking sucks.
Hey! I didn't tell you to say that! What the fuck, Tyrone?
Also,
What?
Hitler did nothing wrong.